We are recording. Air horns. Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, broadcasting to you live from emosocialclub.tv. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're here on a nice Sunday afternoon with our new friend Bradley of Emarosa. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, my guy.
Thank you. You know, for someone who didn't have an intro, you both kind of nailed it, and now I feel like I'm really put on the spot.
Yeah. You know,
So,
we faked that the first time, and we just kept it. And that's how we had to do it. So you got to show up now.
This is the kind of day we're going to have.
Yep. So Bradley, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and the band and all that good stuff?
All right. Yeah, my name's Bradley. I've been in this band Emarosa for quite a long time. I think nearly a decade. Started out a little bit heavier before I jumped in. Kind of started changing the direction of the boat, and shifting, events, evolving, de-evolving, evolving again, depending on who you ask. And now we're this brilliant alternative 80s pop influence, a band. A lot of people think and has to be a thing. It's like a band. It's a band that makes what they want to make. I am a former firefighter, former Air Force serviceman. I left. I started music a decade later, and this is where I have ended up.
You have such an interesting direction that got you from growing up into the music
Very
industry
much.
and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's always just so interesting. I am a fan. I've been a fan of Emarosa for a long time.
Thank you.
Before and during your tenure at the band. And it's just man, you've done so much shit. It's like, damn, I can't even remember everything. It's like,
yeah,
I'm learning.
It's funny. It's funny to see, and obviously so many bands out there, and by no means is it like a knock to anybody, because there's bands that I probably loved years ago that I couldn't tell you what they're doing now. But it's funny to me when someone listens and they're like, oh, I really like this new guy. And it's like, this new guy's been here for a decade, homeboy. I appreciate it. Just funny to still see that. I've had the reins longer than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Thankful. Again, there's so many bands out there, you just don't know. You don't know who's keeping up. So all you can do is just keep jamming.
It does feel like, and I think we can start off with talking about the new album, the new song "Preach," and the '80s inspiration on it.
Very much.
There are a lot of bands right now that are really leaning into the emo pop punk Warped Tour sound because it's getting real popular again. And you guys decided, no, we're going to do what is us. It feels very authentic to you.
To this band's credit, even before me, I don't think that they ever, Emarosa in its end always created its own place. It's always been something very special about this band. Admittedly, before I joined, and still today, I think there's something very special. Like, I haven't listened to a while because I didn't want to be immediately influenced. So organically, it was very much of the 80s influence. It is just seething with Phil Collins and George Michael and Jackson. That's just very evident when you're listening. You can feel that. You can see that if you know that music. But Emarosa was never really that emo pop punk. Just never were. They were heavy. Then they were, post-hardcore. whatever that is, that genre blending thing that happened. And then we were kind of shifting from that to a more alternative rock. And then with 131, it was very much just like an alternative rock record, very much down the line of like an Amberlin. And then Peach Club, we just took a left turn and said, let's do this now. And it we didn't know what to expect when that happened, but it turned out to be very, very good for us. Thankfully, it resonated with people. And so moving on, Preach, I feel like we've made we haven't made Preach Club despite the fans' best efforts. But we have doubled down on that direction and have pursued it in a more mature manner. I think Peach Club was very bright and colorful and fun and almost childlike in a way. And so we've definitely honed it in a little bit, and this feels a lot more mature. Obviously, we've only put out one song from the album, but it feels like we're still going our own way and not really leaning into whatever the resurgence is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like important not to get lost in it too, is because you have so many people who are saying, hey, we're either coming back or hey, we're just going to put out music that's like the same shit that we did before, even if though it was nothing on their path that they were doing now. And now you're not getting lost in the sauce, basically. You're doing your own individual route and it makes you stand out a lot more. I did see on some of your socials, people were like, I kind of like your new stuff, but I really miss old Emarosa. And it's like,
sure.
Well, people change, people evolve. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't always make the same music that you made when you were in high school.
I agree. But I think I do think there's something to be said, of the bands that they like what they like. Like, not everybody wants, if your favorite food for the rest of your life is a grilled cheese sandwich, like, that's, you like grilled cheese sandwiches. That's just what you like. And not everybody needs that, like, growth. You don't, wait till that guy tries Gouda. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't, it's like, you don't have to.
Jack on that shit.
Yeah. You don't, sometimes you just love what you love and you don't want it to change. And I get that from a nostalgic point of view, from a fan perspective, like loving that, people love stuff before me. People love, 131. People love Versus. People love Peach Club. And at the end of the day, what's most important to me is what E and I love. And so while we're very grateful, obviously, for the fans that love whichever record they love, or whatever version of the band that they love, we can't sacrifice what we love to appease the internet. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody should. But there are bands that continually make, they're in their pocket, and it's like, what kind of record you're getting from this band when they put it out, and their fans eat it up. And they're very comfortable doing that because maybe that's what they love to do. Maybe it's not what they love to do, but they're so comfortable in that, and I think a lot of that might be fear-based of not wanting to challenge their fans to grow, because you've seen it not work. You've seen bands change their sound, and it was like, no, we didn't like that, and then they go back to their sound and they've already lost that audience, and so they just don't get that spark back.
The sound you're going for is obviously very 80s. I guess people would more or less say 80s, although I do think like there is space within the current era of music to have 80s inspired music that is not like just 80s rip-off music. It's like its own kind of genre within 80s music, within pop music, within rock music, and it's like kind of creating its own space. I'd say like Pale Waves is a good example of like music that is of the time right now that sounds like it, from the 80s or 90s or whatever.
Right.
Or do you think like, are you just trying to be Michael Jackson or?
No, there are very much times where I am trying to be Michael Jackson, but that is like, that's because I want to do it, mm-hmm. like because I want to, because it's always been my number one, and I'm fine with that. No one is Michael Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking when I was going one, like when I went to my first show, I saw Fall Out Boy. I was like, oh, Patrick Stump. He loves Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I know it's probably windy right now. I can feel
I can feel it.
It is, yeah.
feel it's windy. Let me see if plugging in these bad boys might help. Probably does not help at all.
Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens.
Let's
It's
just see.
still coming in, but
I can always move. But seeing Patrick Stump, he loves Michael Jackson. It's just the weekend. He loves Michael Jackson. But as far as the 80s go, yes, we definitely leaned in super hard. But that's because that's what we wanted to do. Peach Club was more flashy and boppy, and like I said, I do feel like it was very childlike, and so this is more, this is a more adult, mature version. Preach itself is much more subdued, and it's not even by any means. Some of my favorite songs on Peach Club were the most streaming songs, just what I loved. And so we'll see what happens with this record, because I feel I feel like some of the songs that were on Peach Club were a little ahead of their time for Peach Club, if that makes sense. They fit on Peach Club, but I feel like they were already the next step and we didn't establish yet, and so maybe it didn't work out as well. Let me see if move with me. Let me get out of this wind tunnel.
All right, everyone, we're on the move.
We're moving. Where are you located?
I live in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And there's construction right here. Thank goodness it's Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking the day off.
Otherwise, I would
Complex
not be here. How was the wind?
Sounds much better.
Yes.
Great. See how long that lasts. LA is not a quiet city by any means. So they are unfortunately in my next to my apartment. They're renovating, and so there's just drilling and hammering. So I promise you, this is the best case scenario right now.
Love it.
Love it. Yeah, we're doing good. Here's what I'm gonna. Here's where I want to go with this real quick. There is an objective lack of drip in emo, pop punk, the rock scene. And you, if I may say, are quite drippy.
Oh, appreciate you.
We were
acknowledging.
Thank you. I'm happy that you were bringing this to the scene. So thank you for doing that. We were watching the video for Preach last night, and I was like, dude, his fashion, his style, even the promo photo that was sent over, I'm like, damn, the mustache, the look is just, this is the look. And there's so few bands that are just taking that part of it anymore. And it's yeah, you just, we show up in our flannels. What do you need?
Yeah. I don't, it's just part of who I am. As I've matured and grown, it kind of evolved. Fashion is evolving. So as I evolve, it goes with me. I will say it was more fun putting the outfit together for E than it was for myself, because I knew okay, this is my look, and we went back and forth with E and I as far as that video went, where I was this is what I envision, this is what I see happening. Very again, George Michael-esque, and even with the director, we went to when we went to shoot the video, I was like, this is what I want. I want this like 8. And so he got it right away. Like the fast moving, the black and white. It's so, he just like nailed it. And Thomas Dutton was the director. He was the singer for Forgive Durden. If you were ever listened to that band, he did a fantastic job with the video. And we got the choir in there, and it's funny that we have the choir in that song, because while it is there, it's not the song with the most prominent choir, which I'm excited for next, because it's like the moment that I've wanted since Joy. I remember sending the next song that's coming out. I remember sending it to my friends. This is the song that you've wanted to make since you joined this band. You're damn right. You are damn right. So I'm excited, but again, my answers are long-winded. I thank you. I feel like the pop punk, that scene, they don't lean so heavy into like the fashion. They're like, it's not about that for them. For me, I am very performative, and if you've ever seen this band live, you know that I'm very performative, and that part of it is the fashion element is just as important to me as the performance.
So do you agree with MGK when he was complaining about everybody wearing comfortable shoes on stage?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know, Ed.
That's fine. So his comment was about doing Warped Tour and how he would like see all these dudes wearing like comfortable shoes on stage, and he was like, everybody should be wearing boots or like Converse, or like just the style and the fashion of it is such an important part as a musician when you're performing live and when you're making a video. And like rock music just doesn't have a lot of that sense of showmanship with the outfits. It's just like, we make sad music, we make rock music, and just listen to it. And it's like, you need like that extra little spice on top, And the shoes was like the comment, but it was like, you're really like making a comment about how people dress on stage and putting on a show and making the audience feel like they're seeing something special.
Sometimes I think people should just shut the fuck up and mind their own business. Mm-hmm. Like, partly, I mean, to my take, in a sense, I agree. Like for me, the fashion is important. I'm not going to tell this band what kind of shoes to wear. Shut the fuck up.
Side note, we don't love MGK here. We are cool with his records, so you're not offending anyone. I
don't have a take. I do not have a take. I'm not familiar. I obviously know the name, but it's just not it's not the kind of music that I jam. Like, by all means, do what you got to do to take care of your family. Like all power to him. I'm not familiar with his music, but it's crushing it, whatever he's doing. I did see a really funny thing about him playing guitar, and it like actually playing guitar.
Yeah.
But I can't say much because I can't play guitar for shit. I remember the last tour we played Ready to Love, and I played guitar on that tour, and I told Parker, our sound guy, I'm like, man, I'm really bad at guitar. He's like, no. He's like, I know. I don't really have you turned up at all. I'm like,
oh my God.
I was like, thank you so much. Like it was, and it's just power chords, but I sit down at the piano, I can handle myself, but don't put a guitar in my hands.
Not everyone's a guitar player, and that's okay.
That is okay. Some of us are just weebs.
I swear, never should have said it. Never should have brought it up.
I think it's great. So for this upcoming release that you have, you're on Out of Line Records.
Yes.
So you've navigated away from the traditional kind of hopeless records. What made you want to sign with Out of Line? Because looking at their site, it's one Berlin bass, and it's also a lot more metal bass. And obviously you guys are not too much in that vein.
I agree. So yeah, I think before the pandemic or during the pandemic, we decided Peach Club contractually filled our obligation to Hopeless. And then we decided we did not want to re-sign with Hopeless. And that is how that's it. And then we were approached by Out of Line, and I was like a little hesitant at first. I'm like, I don't think we really fit, but that made me feel great actually, because I'm like, how much attention are they going to give to the pop side of their label that they're trying to establish and build? Like, we are the flagship band of this genre on that label. We are the number one priority of this world of music to that label. And it doesn't hurt that the offer was spectacular. And so after talking to Andre and Nicholas, who kind of run the show, they came out to Los Angeles, met with them, and it was just easy decision, very easy decision.
I think like it's there've been a lot of, Sumerian Records and that, like, trying to sign more a variety of acts, and I never really thought of how it's like, yeah, but they're going to focus a lot of attention on those different sounds because they want to establish that.
And I think things are different now. Like, when I was starting to learn about music, I very much was like, oh, what is Fueled by Ramen doing? And what is Fearless doing? That's not really, no offense to anyone, but that's not how people are finding music now. No one is going like, oh, I wonder what, the vast majority are no longer doing that. Back then, everyone was on like, you're on the Fueled by Ramen street team because you want to learn about Fall Out Boy, the Academy is, gym class heroes. Like, that's, you wanted to know. Victory, Victory's heyday. I love 1997. And I was like, what is this label doing? What is this label doing? And now, like, it's changed because the veil has been lifted and people see and people see everything. They know what it is and how labels work. And that's not, arguably the best way to find music. Is not like, what did this label sign? Because you're almost in a way being force-fed what this person's taste is. Obviously, everyone knows, like, right now the best place to find music is Spotify playlists or TikTok or just word of mouth. It's very much not, label are you on? That feels less important these days.
And there are definitely labels like Pure Noise ended up signing Mothica, and who blew up on TikTok. And then they subsequently gave her a subsidiary label to run, which she tried to explain to her followers on TikTok, and it kind of didn't go over super well, went over their heads. Yeah. And I think it's like that. You see a lot of these labels trying to now be like, oh, the TikTok gang. Like, we have to get that. But then they just keep going on that viral train, and it doesn't really develop as fully as it could. Yeah,
there's some artists who have blown up from it. There's this artist, Blue to Tiger, or Tigra, I'm not exactly sure. First bought her band on TikTok. Got sold out tour, taking off. Like I said before, there's a lot of bands out there. There's bands that are selling out, a 5,000 cap room 2 nights in a row who I've never heard of. And because there's so much music out there. And when you're think about this world, it's 2% of that's out there. It is, and we tend to think that it's like the end all be all, because when you're in this bubble, it's the whole world, and it's not the case.
A lot more space for smaller communities. Smaller being relative, it's not like you have world, national, international fame. It's more like I have a devout crew of few thousand people that listen to my music, and they come out to shows when we sell out rooms, and we don't have to do full like month-long tours. We can do a few shows here and there in some different cities and sell them out and just have a good time with the people who want to be a part of it, and people may never know who that artist is or anything.
You look at somebody like Russ, who's just like hip-hop artist who's completely unsigned, and he has crushed the idea for artists. Cool to see. Doable. Obviously, career has spanned years and years and years. It's not like an overnight thing, and sometimes that backing, Rodrigo, something like that. But
So, what are some of the more newer influences that you've been into?
oof. To be honest, there haven't really been any new artists. As far as the band goes, that's it. It's been a long time since I've heard a band that I've been like, oh. And I don't know if that's like me or if it's, like I'm getting hyped because I see Riot Fest is bringing the Academy is back, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the stuff that I'm getting. And maybe because I'm getting more into podcasts and things. Definitely, there's not a band. You know who I think has been grinding on their own vibe and like been taking off is Chase Atlantic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really like Chase Atlantic.
Yeah, I was listening to their newest record, and I was like, "This is dope." And then I heard a splice loop in their song that I actually used for a song that I did that made me laugh. I'm like, "Man, they didn't even try to hide this. They're just like, yeah, yeah.
Put it right in.
Yeah, they're. I think they're very cool, unique. They do their own thing." One of my students, who I teach singing and songwriting lessons, but one of my students who I teach singing lessons to, he's in a like pop punk band called First and Forever, and I think if you're into like the emo pop punk vibe, I think you might really like them. They're about to go on tour with Broadside. Pretty soon.
Yeah, they were on Twitter. I think they followed us like a few years ago, and I was like, is this a fake account? Because they kept unfollowing us. But then I saw them again on TikTok. I'm like, okay, so it's a real person, so that makes me feel better.
So they kept unfollowing you and following you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm dogging him so bad.
Oh yeah, no, this was like a couple years ago, and then they were like, I couldn't tell. I was like, what is going on here? And like, it wasn't that developed because I like to research it, and I'm like, okay. And then they had a song that had something to do with Chicago, and I'm like, you're from Arizona.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And then I was like, I'm not gonna entertain this anymore. I don't know what's going on here.
To be fair,
and then like I think over the last like few months, I saw them pop up on TikTok. I'm like, okay, this is a real person.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad it's a real person.
Yeah.
But my guy.
So it's a real band. They actually just did some stuff with Courtney Ballard, who did our last 2 records. So it's good. It's good. He's a good singer. Now that I got a hold of him.
No.
My doing.
Yeah. You're welcome, Alex.
I know how you've been doing that for a while, right? With the singing lessons. How's that been going? Like, especially through the pandemic and all that.
It definitely took a dive during the pandemic because people didn't have, people had to kind of get rid of the leisure activities that they really liked. I definitely had some people, who could stick around, if you work from home or something like that. But pandemic hit a lot of people hard. And I definitely lightened my workload around like album recording time. Like I usually keep around 40 students a week. So I dropped it down to 20, but I've started picking it up. So if anybody hears this and is looking for singing lessons, hit me up. I've got.
I mean, it might be me,
Yeah, hit me up. I've worked with a lot of people over the years. I helped people out, like Warped and just on random tours. People, what do I do about this, and this? So it's nice. I wish that I had that when I was learning. Wish I had like somebody in the world of our music that like, not just a traditional piano, la 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 la. Something a little more to help me find my voice. If Patrick Stump was offering lessons when I was a kid, are you shitting me?
And he definitely should have. I agree, because I was in choir in high school and college, and it's like, I really like this style of music, and I want to like, for me, it was a lot of like Brendan Urie and that of like, I want to bridge that gap of like the more theatrical, like good singer musical, and then like bring that into like the rock scene.
Right.
And it was like, yeah, I don't really have like a ton of contemporaries to learn from. It's a lot of people that are just kind of like scream singing and, one note and, I'll call out Jordan Pundik of just having a way too nasally voice in Newfound Glory, and I just couldn't get into it at the time.
Yeah.
The songs can be good, and he's obviously learned a lot over the years, so shouts out to him. But also, like, it was pretty nasally back in the day, and I wasn't about it.
Absolutely.
So what do you like? I guess like, who would you say are like some good? I guess it's hard to say because there aren't a lot of good contemporaries in rock music now that are like strong vocalists in the way that like, a lot of melody, a lot of vocal power, like a lot behind it. There's not a lot in rock music, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen, live music to know, because I never take it for a record worth. You just can't, because they can. These days, you can doctor up the lesser of. So, it's hard to know, like, who's good. People think that a high range is good, and it's like, that's just where your voice sits. That doesn't make it. It might be appealing to you. That tonality might be cool. You might like the way that voice sounds, but good singer is so much what your tone is. And it can be like, there's singers out there who have such a great tone that maybe people don't think they're the best live, but they're still special vocalists. Stephen Jenkins from Third Eye Blind. Such a cool but I've not what you want when you I don't I wish I had somebody. I mean, definitely when I saw Patrick Stump. I know it was a long time ago, but he's great live. You know who has fantastic technique is and I maybe I'll get shit for this, but despite whatever you think, watching someone who has really, really like top-notch technique is Ronnie Radke. And I don't know him. I met him once, but he like seeing him, we did work together. Seeing his technique, he knows what he's doing in singing.
Yes.
I was about to say disclaimer.
Obviously Haley, but it's known that she's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Haley is a powerhouse for sure. Watching the singer of Spirit Box do that live take was pretty spectacular as well.
Those were insane.
Courtney LaPlante is absolutely just pure insanity.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, off the top of my head, those are the ones that like jump out as far as like, oh yeah, he can rip.
Do you, as a teacher, and I know this is more for other people. I'm a singer. I know what's up. I got some.
Hey.
I'm talking about. Yeah.
All right.
Do you think that like a lot of this is just like you're born with it, or do you think that there are a lot of singers that need to be trained? Do you think that there's like
every singer needs to be trained? It's both. Yes, you're born with it, and the people that are like, no matter what you think, you can be a singer. No, you can't. I'm sorry. No matter how hard I try, I probably won't be a pole vaulter. Like, the vocal cords are a muscle, The brain works a certain way. There's some people that just aren't born to do certain things, and that's okay. Now, can you get better? Yeah. I can definitely become a better chef, but I'm not going to be running a 5-star restaurant. It's the same thing. Like, yes, you can get better. You can, to a point. Sometimes there's just a block, and you like that's it. That's where your voice stops. And if you're born with it, that's great. You could possibly be better. If Adele never took singing lessons, she might not be Adele, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's important to, one, respect the work that needs to be put in, because it is work. It is a muscle. It has to be trained, and you have to learn how to do everything properly. And two, you know, the natural gift is a real thing. Like, just is. Just like sometimes a person who's never acted before, like, oh yeah, we'll throw you in this movie, and then they're spectacular. Like, yeah, because they were born with something special.
It's like the teen movie scenes where it's like, oh no, I can't sing and do this song. I suck at it. And then it's like, oh my God, hey, let's go.
Yep.
It's like Pete Wentz in Fall Out Boy videos where he has lines. It's okay. You're more on the marketing end and the writing end.
But you have to throw them in to bring it all together. That cameo, and it's what the kids want.
Yep. Yeah. Give them what they want.
There were so many videos back in the day where it's like, let's just have the musicians act. Let's have the band act, and it's like, and really see the levels of talent on those music videos of I mean, you know what?
You got to think how young kids were back then too. Like, and they're just people. You see those videos, you don't think about how young they were at the time, because you look at them now and like, they were like, maybe teenagers, maybe like early 20s, and you're just thrown into that. I remember my first video, I just had no idea what I was doing at all. Terrible.
Trying to think of what your first video would have been with Emarosa.
That would be People Like Me.
Okay.
Yeah, no idea what I was doing. Yeah. Put his haircut, no idea what I was doing. Then we did I'll Just Wait, and we're all in these like banquet hall type outfits. Like we were going to a wedding. I'm fat, still stupid haircut.
So it was at a time when you were like, I got to work on this drip, I get drippy.
I was not so drippy then.
Not so drippy.
Pre-drippy Bradley.
Yeah. Right.
It's like in the Princess Diary scene, it's like non-drippy, almost drippy, full drippy.
Yep.
And it's the reveal.
I feel like there's going to be people like being a 35-year-old using the term drippy. I feel like people are going to be like, hey, Brian, maybe stop that. It sounds disgusting coming out.
Now, if Brian doesn't show up to the patio hang tonight being very drippy, I'm going to be a little upsetty.
I know. I've set myself up. I got to be drippy now.
You got to suit up.
I'm dripping, right. I'm coming out just dripping.
Love it. I love it.
We also were like, there's two things that bands need to be more of in the future, and now in the year of our Lord 2022, is drippy and thick. We need more thickness in these bands. Yeah. Now, do I know what that means? No, I just said it.
No, you've been saying it.
Yeah, I just say
and I don't think you understand what it means.
I have no idea. It could be anything. Yeah, some thicky drip,
Love it.
I would say Bill Murray, the band, not the man.
I'm not familiar.
He's quite thick.
Okay.
Less drip, more thick.
Gotcha.
Did you say you are not familiar?
I'm not.
It is, can't remember his name right now, but he was the guitarist of Attack, and then left that band. Johnny Frank, I think, and then went on to do this sort of like, they're just weird, but it's like, it's kind of like meme-y, but it's also, I would put it in like hyperpop, hardcore rock, and he definitely like acknowledges that he was part of this whole emo scene and everything, and like kind of like brings some of that back. Nice. So it's fun. It's just fun music to me. Like, but I would definitely call it thick. It's very bodybuilder centric. I will put it that way too. There's a lot of bodybuilder shit with it.
Wow.
Like, I don't know why, but
I've never heard anything like this, but I'll definitely try it.
Yeah, definitely weird, definitely cool, definitely like, I do feel like there is a lot of room in the music industry now for like interesting, new, weird, like changing up like everybody's expectations of what the music industry should look like, or like.
Yeah, you know who's dope is Don Broco. Everybody knows that, but they're like a unique band that just do their thing, and they're dope. We were very lucky to so cool, very cool. I think they're thick. I think they're thick, drippy.
Yeah, they're thick, drippy.
There you go.
They got style up there.
They got drip.
Yeah,
That's going to be a new rating system now that we'll all have to do.
Number of C's, number of P's.
thick, drippy to skinny, dry.
Yeah.
Actually, for all your students, you're gonna be like, you have to become thick, drippy.
Yeah.
If you are skinny, dry, can't help you. This is your new goal.
Feel so skinny dry.
Yeah, you got to thicken up that drip.
It's early in the day. I plan to get drippier, but I don't know how thick I'm going to be by the end of the day.
Oh, give it time.
Oh, what have I done?
Look at what you've done, besties.
What have I done?
So, with talking about who you previously toured with, I know you kind of said that you have some more things being released soon, but are you planning on touring anytime within this year, or are we going to be waiting until next year?
You know, I go back and forth. I would love to play some shows this year. I would love to, do something. I really would. Admittedly, I am still a little hesitant because I see friends out there having shows canceled left and right still. You have to have your COVID compliant officer on every tour, and like one person can shut that thing down, and then it's a huge risk. So while I am itching to perform, because there is not a band like us, I also am like, we're looking at it. We're looking at it. I would say next year there will absolutely be some touring. This year, I'm not 100% sure. If anything, it would be later this year, and it'd be some select cities, probably like a Chicago, LA, New York kind of thing. Nothing is set in stone, so don't take it with a grain of salt. But I would love to. We'll definitely be touring. There is a new record. There's more music coming. All of that is happening.
I like to hear Chicago on that list, so
yeah,
makes me happy. I do feel like it is kind of strange about how many like big tours have started up, along with like the huge festivals that are all happening right now, and it's like there's like that like difference between like how it used to be, where you would just go on a long tour, you'd be out with a bunch of bands, and like you said, it's much more risky now. But then you have like an outdoor festival where it's like we're just doing one show, and then we're like doing it on the Friday, and we're home by Saturday. It's like I don't know which is better or how that's like balancing out.
I don't either. It's not my job to know the answer. I just follow what my gut says and what the science says. Tough to know. I do think, admittedly, I think that there was a lot of bands out there went out too soon. They paid the price for that, and their stuff got shut down. And I think that was the right move, personally, because I love fans. I love, like there's a lot of people that come to your shows, and super thankful for them, but not everyone's thinking right when they're at a concert, especially in such a hectic time, like a year ago when people were still trying to do tours, and you've got people going out, maybe getting sick, going home, getting like that's how, let's do the math, man. Don't. So I don't know. I maybe I'm hypersensitive. I think that there was a lot of irresponsibility right out of the gate. That's just gone overlooked now. Things are kind of back to normal.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we didn't get to see Spirit Box on the Under Oath tour because they got COVID the day before, and we were very upset because that was going to be an exciting part of the show.
Yep.
It's like, well, I want you to be safe, and the fans are I think for the most part understanding. I have seen some fans go,
Of course.
well, what the fuck? And it's like, no, just
Yeah.
it's fine.
I
It's
get,
like, do you want to get COVID?
Yeah, I get both sides because one, yeah, like music took a really big hit. We need to get back out there. We need to perform. We need to make our living.
Mhm.
You know, and so yes, I understand like wanting to get back to it, but then you have those situations like you let down thousands of people because because of somebody's irresponsibility, and it might not be any fault of their own. You know, could have just been walking into a grocery store with a mask. You know, you never know. You never know. It just sucks. It just sucks, and I don't blame anybody. I'm just not sure if I want to take that risk yet.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah. So on this record, if you could go out with anybody, and this is in a perfect world, perfect situation, so, maybe next year, maybe eventually, this whole thing blows over, who would you most want to go out with?
This record?
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. Maybe a Bruno Mars.
Ooh. Okay.
You probably didn't see that coming.
I honestly was like, there's all these.
The music makes sense.
Yeah, the music makes sense. There's a lot of like bigger like pop artists who will like bring out like the opener will always be like a really good smaller band to like just kind of show up and get the audience hyped, and it's not necessarily always in their same genre.
You know, I mean, obviously like a Bruno Mars, like a Maroon 5, a Neon Trees. And I hate this comparison because I think it comes from a naive place from the listener. Because to be fair, like I see the people hear an 80s guitar and they immediately think that you want to rip off the 1975. And it's like, man, there's so many bands that are doing that, and that was happening before the 1975. Not to take anything away, that's a great band. I saw them at the Coachella before the pandemic. It was amazing. Had absolutely no influence on this album. They would be obviously they would be a great tour. It's tough to know. Like, I want a headline. I want to because I want to play. I want to play more of the record. You know, I'd rather be picky about who we bring out. But you know, it doesn't work like that. You need to get in front of new people. So, tough. It's as far as bands. I don't know who sounds like us as far as bands. Not that I'm not saying like there aren't them, like they don't exist, but as far as like upper echelon of what we're doing, I don't know who else there is. I don't know who's doing it.
I think like Pale Waves would probably be one of the closer bands. Yeah.
Which is another band that got told they're ripping off the 1975, and it's like they were produced by two of the members of the 1975. They're on their label. What do you mean?
Okay, yeah, all right.
Those are two bands I absolutely love, so I have no issue with it. Like,
it's like whenever you do something, that's who they go to. They go to the biggest example of it, and it's like, oh, you sound like this. You know, if we started putting butt rock vocals, people are like, oh, they're trying to rip off Nickelback. Like,
oh god,
you know, like as soon as it's like any band, it's like, Panic was trying to rip off Fall Out Boy. It's like, they're always going to go to the biggest, the band with the most notoriety that has a similar sound, in my opinion. Because that's the easiest.
Yeah, and I always think it's
also
funny.
why. I think it's also people like you're like trying to explain it to people who don't listen to like other than what's on the radio or like just general bigger people in the music world. So if you're like when I was telling people like, oh, I have this emo podcast, and I tell people and they're like, what do you mean emo? And while people argue about it all the time, like, oh, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco. Yeah. They're like, oh, okay, cool. If I were to say like, oh, Emarosa, Ann Arbor, they'd be like, whomst? Like, we know who everybody is, but other people don't.
Yeah. There's so many bands out there, and we're such a small Like, this world is such a small bubble compared to the general listener. It really is, like, so small.
I think it's fine though. Like
I agree.
I feel like you and I share that we're just like, okay, the internet is talking. That's cool for the internet. You guys go ahead and you guys talk on the internet, have a good time. And it's like, I'm just going to continue to like what I like, and I'm going to listen to what I want to listen to, and I want to hang out with people that are like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm into. I want to hear that person talk, not like, yo, this band is just like ripping this off. Like, who gives a shit, man? Like, okay. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not good, it's not good. That's all that matters, like whether I'm into it or not.
There's a lot of energy wasted on complaint.
Mm-hmm.
I washed my hands of it a long time ago.
Do you feel like the new form of this band is like positivity, and like in this world of everybody's sad and everybody's like dealing with their shit, you're like, hey, I want to be positive?
I think it's much more chill. There's less pressure. You know, before when we made Peach Club, it was so high stress and very much like, we have to succeed and this is the dream, and you know, so much where we want to go instead of where we were. Like we did the Peach Club tour. The tour completely sold out. Amazing. And in the moment, I couldn't appreciate that because I was so focused on, well, what's next? What are we supposed to do next? What do we do? Like, we just left, we've left our old label, and now, like, where do we go? How do we get the next tour? How do we get the next this? I wasn't like, oh man, we're in the middle of a sold out tour. I'm having the time of my life. Like, wasn't enjoying that. And now with E and I have just talked, and it's like, we're making a record after this, you know, huge lull in time of not doing anything and the world shutting down. Like, we're back to doing what we love, and we just are enjoying it and putting out the next song we want to do. What do you want to do in this video? I don't know. Okay, let's brainstorm. Let's just do it. And not like, who do you want to go on tour with? I don't know. Let's see what's out there. You know, it's like, it's not so much like, man, I spent a decade in the rat race, and I have a hard time remembering it because I was so stressed the whole time trying to appease people or trying to be successful and do this and that. And it's like, wish I just was vibing, loving it while I was in it, because I have a lot of great, you know, a lot of cool accolades, a lot of cool memories, a lot of cool, like, you know, so many great things and people. And I just took a lot of that for granted and didn't love it when I was in it. And now I look back fondly, and I'm thankful for that, because I could look back like, oh, I wish I had wish, but yeah, our going forward, it's just happy to be making music.
I like that. That's positive. I think that's positive.
That's good.
It is.
It's like living in the moment and just like enjoying what it is now.
It's a very Andy Bernard cliche, you know?
From The Office, right? That's what we're... Yeah, I'm like... Because now all I think of is like the nerd dog. I watch The Office way too often, like every night, just put on a few episodes. And Lizzie always gives me shit for it. And I'm like, sorry, it's my generation.
Yeah, I'm noticing that Lizzie is not an Office fan.
No, I am not.
She's not. There's
of that actually
generation.
in my office at one of the colleges I teach at, I have, that was left by the previous tenant. One of the guys, I think his name is Kevin, and it's just his face as a clock.
Amazing.
So me and my engineer, because I used to go undergrad with him, we hide it around the office for us to find it. And it's like a jump scare every single time. And I'm always like, do I just take this home with me to give to Brian? But I'm like, no, I need the jump scare. Hide game in my life for The Office.
For somebody that doesn't like The Office, that's a very Jim Dwight thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
I just haven't had time to watch much TV in general, though. So there's that.
The show's been on for like years.
Yeah.
I haven't had time.
More popular now than
years.
it's ever been. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I went to the Office experience. I took my mom in Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I had some friends working there actually.
Really cool.
Yeah. also doing the Friends and all that. But The Office is much more like
Yeah.
The Office is much more the generation that I'm a part of.
Same.
Yeah, Lizzie's too young.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I don't know. I watched the recent Our Flag Means Death because my friend sent me down and we binge watched it for a night. So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got about 5 minutes left. I want in the interview part, we're going to talk over on Twitch. So if you're hanging out with us over there, we're gonna answer some questions. We're gonna go a little bit deeper. You know, that's what we do over there on the Twitch for a little bit longer. But before we end the recording part of this, I want to give you a chance to shout out like where people can find the music, where people can find you on the internet if they want to follow you, if they want to sign up for vocal lessons, where they can do all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, well, again, my name is Bradley Scott, Emarosa. You can find us on Spotify, Emarosa, Emarosa, Twitter, Emarosa, Instagram, Emarosa. You can find me on Instagram, Bradley Scott, where you can head to my website if you're interested in vocal lessons or songwriting, and that is badleyscott.com.
I was
Check out the
spelling
R,
it wrong
everyone.
here and there because I'm like,
That's
Bradley,
okay.
badly.
Yeah. Well, I have my R&B stuff I do on the side under Badley, so
Okay,
easier.
that's fair. Okay,
Yeah.
Where can everybody hear the R&B stuff though now?
now we got to shout that out.
Badley, Badley,
Okay.
on Spotify. I only got 3 songs, but you can have sex to them.
That's true about a lot of music, I will say.
You could have sex to almost every song.
You might have a weird time during, like, say, the hamster dance, but you can do it.
Oh my God.
You're into what you're into.
Yeah, you can figure it out.
Listen, there was somebody in the pit of Fit for an Autopsy, I think it was, who was getting eaten out in the middle of the pit, but then got proposed to. So I feel like, again, it's a mindset.
We don't kink shame here on the Emo Social Club.
See, Brian's
feel like
concerned.
I have said
I didn't send it
at
to you.
certain
Oops.
times, like, there's some kinks we can shame, but also overall, that one, okay, fine.
All
Kink, do what you got to do. Other ones, questionable.
Fair
I
enough.
got thoughts on some kinks. I'm like,
And that's the show.
and
That's the show, guys.
show.
We'll continue Brian kink shaming people
No.
over on Twitch.
Can anybody like pre-save or pre-order the record? Is there any information about that yet, or is that
Nope,
still
not
forthcoming?
Yet. Not yet. That's still forthcoming.
All right.
Album announcement and new single next single. It's all coming next month,
All right.
hopefully.
Then you got to follow and find out when it's there.
That's right.
But in the meantime, go check out Bradley's drip in the Preach music video.
Yeah, thank you.
And compliment the mustache, compliment the glass. Are those the same glasses from the video too?
They are. Yeah, I look like
Ooh,
the
there we go.
bad guy in the Sonic Hedgehog video game.
Dr. Robotnik. I'll get you, you heads. Sorry, it's
Oh no, the weeb's coming back out.
Yeah.
Huh?
that's not weaving. That's video game and
Yeah, that's different.
Dude,
That's different.
I was real into Sonic before
Listen,
that
I
became
also
a
played
kink.
Sonic as a child. I get it.
Yeah, I don't love that. That's a kink. Like that's a kink I shame. If you're into Sonic the Hedgehog, like Rule 34, like I'm out. Like shame you for that. Shame.
Perfect.
Shame.
There's limitations to some things, and that's the
And
limit.
that's it. And that's the limitation. Okay. Well, yeah, we're going to go hang out over on Twitch. Make sure to check out Preach, follow Emarosa and everything to make sure you're there when the record is announced and coming out. You can be a part of it. You can be a part of everything. You can see them in the shows when the shows happen.
It might.
And we're going to be at the Chicago one. I promise you that.
I believe it.
All right, let's go over to Twitch. But for the recording, Bradley, thank you so much for hanging out with us
Thanks,
today.
dude.
It's my pleasure.